Welcome to a new edition of the One Shot Movie Stop. I'm your host, Tommy Rinaldi, and today joined by Xavier Warner again, this time in person.
Yeah.
And we're finishing up the Nolan trilogy with The Dark Knight Rises. Dark Knight Rises was made in 2012, again directed by Christopher Nolan, composed by Hans Zimmer, produced by Warner Brothers. X, can you give us a little synopsis of the movie?
This, follows The Dark Knight. Obviously, there was a lot of things that kind of happened with the production of this movie, just with the Joker passing away, having to find a new villain. So the movie was kind of pieced together in that aspect. But a little bit after The Dark Knight Rises, Bruce Wayne is not really Batman anymore because of everything that happened in the previous movie. He's hurt, he's walking around with a cane on. He's really struggling to move around as much as we saw him in the previous movies. He meets Selina Kyle early in the film, and she becomes an antagonist for him throughout the year. And not necessarily a bad antagonist, but she kind of plays both sides for the most part, which is what she does in the comic book. So it was a very good portrayal. He starts to learn who Bane is. He starts to learn that his business isn't, or his company isn't doing as well as he thought it was, because I think they stopped funding money to the youth center, the Robbins, the orphan center to Robbins, where he used to be at before. So that all that kind of coupled together, Bane not being as successful, it kind of brought him back into the light as Batman, brought him back into like humanness, because he wasn't really. He was kind of just like home, just chilling the whole time. And the movie goes off its plan. Obviously, there's a big situation they have to deal with. Batman/Bruce Wayne has to do a bunch of things to get him to the point where he's ready to be Batman again. Once he's Batman again, it's time to go. It's locked in. Big thing that's going to attack Gotham. Batman saves the day as usual, and we'll talk about the ending, how it ends, and all that stuff. But that's the brief synopsis for you, Tommy.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Like you said, we lose Heath Ledger, so we don't get to see him in this movie, but we'll get to see the casting characters from this movie, and that includes Christian Bale as Batman and Bruce Wayne once again. Gary Oldman as Commissioner Gordon, who has his role's a little subdued in this one because of what happens to him in the beginning of the movie, but he is still that strong force, that nice accompaniment of the cops that Bruce Wayne kind of relies on for Gotham PD. Our villain is Tom Hardy playing Bane. Even though he's a short man, they shoot him to make him look massive. Yeah. He definitely bulked up for this role. He really only uses his eyes to perform throughout this entire thing, with the mask that he has. And it's really interesting to see how an actor has to do that. But you also get the sense of how strong this guy really is, picking up Christian Bale over his head and all that stuff. I'm sure that's stunt work and everything, but like that character we always put with that super strength and everything. But we also get a super intellect and someone with passion and compassion for the people that he loves. We also get a new character in this with Joseph Gordon-Levitt playing Officer Blake, becomes Detective Blake, and then
becomes something else too.
Becomes something else, yeah. I thought he did a really good job of being that new kid on the block that has hope for his city.
He has a perfect role for it too.
Yeah. There's not a lot of hope in Gotham, even though Harvey put everybody away, Batman's gone, everything's been somewhat quiet. There's still not that much hope. There's still corruption trying to happen around him. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt brings this joyfulness to this role. But he also takes it seriously. He takes it like a detective from day one, going in there trying to be what we know Bruce Wayne to be in the comics and everything like that. So we're kind of foreshadowing into that. One of my favorite performances from this movie is Anne Hathaway as Selina Kyle and Catwoman. They never necessarily say she's Catwoman, but we could all tell.
All implied. Yeah. And those are the best ways to do those characters too. Like, and this is just me talking to like producers and directors and stuff. And they're not listening to us, guys. They're not listening to us. But like, sometimes you don't have to say who they are. Like we didn't really know that Joseph Gordon-Levitt was who he was until the end of the movie. And it's because they explicitly said it. If they didn't say it, we necessarily couldn't have been like, yo, he was this character. It had to be like, oh, maybe he could have been that character, or, oh, he definitely has a lot of attributes that are like that character. He's in the same situations that those characters in. But like Anne Hathaway, they made sure, they got her name, Selena Kyle, when Bruce Wayne was going through and trying to figure out who she was, but never got to the point where she was Catwoman, because we're seeing most of this movie from Bruce's angle, like from Bruce's side, like his interpretation of it. So if he doesn't know that she's Catwoman, most likely we're not going to know that she's Catwoman.
Exactly.
For the most part, which is good.
And I think something that's really interesting about her role is, I believe it's like the New 52 line, where although they go against each other in certain things, they're also in a romantic relationship that we kind of see towards the end. You see their chemistry come together, and I think Anne Hathaway played it perfectly, both the action of this movie and being the heart of this movie as well. She, I feel, has the most to play with throughout the entire script, and I think she kills it.
Agreed.
Our other quasi-villain that we have is Marion Cotillard. She plays Miranda Tate in Talia al Ghul, which is something that's revealed later on in the movie. She's one of Christopher Nolan's go-to people throughout the years, and it's for good reason. She's a really good actress. She really brings something to the table where Christopher Nolan likes to put things right under your nose, and you kind of have to figure it out. Mm-hmm. But after rewatching it, you're like, oh, of course she's Talia the whole time. But she plays both roles a little differently, too. You see how she becomes menacing at the end, and she's really delving into that villain character, being the daughter of Ra's al Ghul, played by Liam Neeson, who we get a short cameo.
Get a little short cameo.
But I think she does a really good job of hiding her motivations until she needs to explain to Batman why she's actually doing everything that she's doing, why Gotham is in the state that it's in, and why she's going to accomplish what she wants to accomplish.
Yeah, and what you talked about, I mean, like with Christopher Nolan putting things right under your nose, like if we really looked at the character of Miranda Tate, she came out of nowhere, number one. Mm-hmm. She was really low-key too nice, like a lot of the time. She was very like soft and harsh. Like those are the times when Bruce Wayne has to think, okay, League of Shadows, what's one of their main things? It's obviously, dealing with widespread, like dealing with a bunch of stuff that they're supposed to deal with, but it's adaptation. It's going into a scenario and being able to adapt in any scenario that you're in. Mm-hmm. And she did such an amazing job of establishing that relationship with Christian Bale, whether in not necessarily romantic, but in a like, oh, we can trust her type of way. Like, no, you can't. But they don't know that. She kind of portrayed that in a perfect way to be able to kind of slide in there. Yeah,
she's perfectly pulling the strings. She had everything under control from start to finish of the movie until things go in Batman's way, as things always do. But
is this a tan, bro?
I think so.
Oh my God. I just noticed when I was back there. Sorry, we're not editing this video either. We're keeping the tan in. But like that's terrible. That's so bad.
I saw when I walked in, I was like,
that's so bad. All right, guys. I'm sorry. That doesn't happen to me very often. So like when it happens, I gotta like look at it.
That's all. Jeez. And the next two people are two returning characters that we've loved from the beginning in Batman Begins, and that's Morgan Freeman as Lucius Fox and Michael Caine as Alfred Pennyworth. Both of them, they break your heart, I think, in this movie compared to the first two, where they're really giving the quips. But that's because in the first two movies, you really get to see the relationship between them and Bruce of, I love you, and I'm going to show that through busting your balls. But in this movie, it's, I care about you, and I want you to do things properly, and I want you to save yourself. Yeah. I want you to have that life that I think you could live, instead of living after 7 years of being away, coming back to Gotham, being in that pain that Alfred mentions. And then he has to watch that pain happen every day he goes out, and it destroys him. He's already seen his boss die already with Thomas and Martha, and he doesn't want to see that happen with Bruce. And I think it's really tough for him to have to deal with that, and he lets Bruce know. He's like, listen, if you don't stop, I'm gone. And he does it, He's not, it's not empty words. Everything he says has weight to it, and we see that through the whole thing. Same thing with Lucius. Everything he has, from his own bunker with all the weapons and all the toys that Batman has, and just showing like, I'm here for you, but you have to do this the right way. It's not just something that you could take lightly, especially with the threat that Bane and Talia al Ghul is.
And that's something that's really important for the character of Batman. And what I've figured out in the last, and well, not figured out just right now, but like now that we're talking about the last three movies, the only three movies that are in this trilogy, Batman is always learning a characteristic of Batman from someone else in all the movies. in the first movie, he learns how to be like tactician, how to be like locked in from Ra's al Ghul, how to understand your surroundings, from when they all had their masks on and like that. Like seeing like all that stuff, little stuff he has to learn. In the second one, he learns compassion from like a bunch of different people. He learns compassion from Harvey, low-key. He learns compassion from Rachel. He learns compassion from Alfred, like big time. So like, and then in this one, obviously, he's learning how to deal with those things and do things the right way as opposed to just going in gung-ho. There's always a separate thing you have to kind of look out for. So I liked how they made Batman raw and had the people around it. Obviously, he did his own training and his own, he had his own stuff. But, like, the important stuff, the stuff that really makes Batman who he is, he got from the people who he was closest with, which I think is perfectly done.
And that's something, I think that's a really good point. And that's something that you realize throughout this trilogy is Batman started and ended his full career within 10 years.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
That's not, it should be way longer than that, but he did it.
And that's something that we're used to. And that's exactly my point is they did this perfectly and start to finish. It's not just the 3-act structure of this movie. It's the 3-act structure of this trilogy that really hones down on what Batman's about and gives it to you in a little taste. It's not this huge universe like we get with the MCU, but it's still its own controlled universe that we've really come to love.
Yeah.
Going into that, I think we should go into our overall thoughts on this movie. And we'll start with you. This movie, after watching it for the first time in a long time, I realized it's still really good. It's still a great Batman movie,
Very
but
watchable.
there's still some things here and there that kind of eat at you as well.
Yeah. I mean, like, we talked about, I called him on the phone after I was done, by the way. We do this with everyone. And I called him and I was like, listen, I thought the movie was really good. Now, does that mean that there's no plot holes? Does that mean there's no things that we don't like about it? Absolutely not. There's things, we can find things that we don't like about every single movie that has ever been created. But it's not that deep. Like, if I enjoy a movie, I enjoy a movie. It keeps my attention. It keeps my attention. If I ask a question on the way, I'm asking a question on the way. But, like, it's not going to affect my overall scope of the film. Now, if I'm asking questions every 5 minutes because I don't think that this thing is working, then that's an issue. But this movie was very good, had some inconsistencies, but all in all, I liked it a lot, to be honest. It's like this trilogy is really good from start to finish. You can't really, you're picking like nose hairs at this point. They're all like, it's good. It's good. It's good.
Yeah, I enjoyed this movie as well. Like you said, there are some things to nitpick. And there are a lot of questions that I had throughout this movie. From the beginning of everything that happens with Bane, why is he being taken? Why is he doing everything that he's doing to get caught, to go to Gotham? And it's something that we kind of realize throughout the movie. But it's compared to the other movies where it's not necessarily spoon-fed, but it's understandable for the audience to get. I guess it's to your point earlier of we're watching everything under the lens of Batman. And because he doesn't know what's going on, we don't really know what's going on. And as an audience, that could either work really well or it could have its faults, and that's fine within a movie.
Yeah.
A lot of the things that I enjoyed within this movie are some of the action scenes. I thought Catwoman was a really nice addition to this. Everything with Bane, he's fast, he's strong, he's everything that Alfred said.
He's elite.
He's part of the League of Shadows, so he has that training to be an absolute savage when it comes time. And then you also get those little things of Nolan putting in something from the comics, and that's when he breaks his back and everything. You get that famous comic book panel that we've seen in the past, and I thought that was a really nice addition. Other than the few questions I had here and there, I do think this is a really nice movie, and I thought it tied up things in a way that rewards the crowd and also makes you think of what could happen next. And that's something we'll talk about later on, but it really makes you think about, it went from this into the DCEU. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He helped write Man of Steel. He helped produce Man of Steel. And you kind of get those inklings of
those
why
vibes.
that movie's good.
Yeah.
In my opinion, Man of Steel is the best thing the DCEU has. That's their first movie.
A lot of people don't think that, first of all. Like, a lot of you guys are going to be like, no, Wonder Woman, no, Aquaman, no. Like, yeah, all those movies are really good. Listen, they've done a lot better job in recent, but Man of Steel was a really, really good movie because it had those Christopher Nolan vibes, and we
didn't appreciate it at the time, and I think looking back on it, we have that time to appreciate it. I think that's why we're also doing this series, is because when a movie comes out, you're going to have your initial reactions. That's something that's really big with like a Star Wars or something like that. You have your gut reaction when you first watch it. But after you watch something after time, you grow as a viewer. You grow as a person.
You understand things differently. Like
for sure.
10 years when this came out, I wasn't thinking of movies as in depth as we're thinking now. Like that's something that kind of developed the last couple of years of my life. So like I'm not looking. I'm just like, oh, Batman bet. Oh, Catwoman bet. Like, oh, Bane just broke his back. Awesome. Like, we're not worried about all that other stuff. Now we look at it, and now we're kind of looking at it under a microscope, just for the sake of argument, not because we want to argue about it, not because we want to talk about it, but because
we love movies.
We love movies.
Yeah, I think that's really the underlying factor of all this. But going into more in depth about this movie, what are some of your favorite moments that you really enjoyed from this?
I have two. My first one is the scene on the bridge when Joseph Gordon-Levitt is walking across or trying to get the kids off the island and walk across. I thought it was really powerful because we spent this whole movie kind of getting to know him from little snippets, not really understanding. We don't know where he comes from. We don't know his backstory. We don't know his parents. We don't know any of that stuff. Like crazy, like in depth. So him being like us seeing him like, okay, like this guy's been a good guy the whole time. Like, he does the right thing. And then seeing him do that for those kids, like they shouldn't have blown the bridge. Number one, like you got to get those kids off the island. But he was willing to sacrifice his life by walking. He was like, listen, I'm going to walk out there. If you shoot me, you shoot me, but I'm walking forward.
Yeah.
And it obviously didn't end the way they wanted it to, but I thought that scene, and if there was future Batman movies, I feel like that would have been the first inkling in who he is as a character, who he is as an individual. We saw his honesty, we saw his honor, him trying to do that for younger people, not just because a lot of cops in Gotham are dirty, no disrespect. So like, and I'm not saying that they wouldn't do that for the kids, but we've never seen that. So getting someone who is all about saving people, all about doing the right thing, it adds that next layer to Batman, to Commissioner Gordon, like the people in like it adds that. All right, we got another good guy in the precinct, so we're in a really good spot.
Yeah, I think it's really nice to see someone that's probably the most selfless character within this entire trilogy, honestly, and that's the defining scene for that, and that's a really great one that you picked there. One of my favorites. Oh, of course. One of my favorite scenes is the masquerade scene. It's towards the beginning of it, and it's when Bruce kind of shows Selina, I'm onto you. I know who you are. I've tracked you down. I know everything about you. And she's like, you don't even know the slightest.
Yeah.
You don't understand what I'm fighting for. You don't understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. And she calls him out. She says, I'm doing this almost as like a Robin Hood type thing, trying to take away from the rich, feed the poor, kind of show the bigger picture of all this. It's not just fighting for yourself. It's not just fighting for the wealthy. It's not just fighting for all this type of things. It's fighting for the greater good of what Gotham can be, and what she sees as the true nature of Gotham are the middle, lower class people, and trying to help those people.
And that's how it is around the world. So like the biggest not portion, but the most, I think, significant portion of the world is the middle class, is that like group that works 9 to 5, 9 to 5, puts money back into the system. Like same thing in Gotham. Gotham is probably more on the poor side because there's a lot of people living in poverty in Gotham, and there's a lot of crime and stuff like that. But we're not getting into that stuff right now. That's a good moment though, because that sets the scene for what we're gonna like see from those two specifically, and the movie as a whole. Like Batman's got to do a little bit more detective stuff. He's got to figure out a little bit more things about Bane, about Selina, about Talia. He doesn't know that yet, but he's got to get on his detective a little bit, low key.
Yeah, I mean, this is also the thing that really gets him to move forward, coming out for Batman, because he was out for, I believe, 5 years at the beginning of this movie and everything. So he had to get out of that funk. He needed to have a reason to fight again. And her chopping him down is really what brought him up. And that's kind of the movie itself, The Dark Knight Rises. He's coming out of the ashes to become what we know he could be. You said you had another scene. What was that one?
My scene is, I really liked the scene. And at the moment when the scene was happening, I really liked when Bane climbed out of the tunnel. I thought the way they built up to that, like from the beginning of the movie to that point, I thought that it was all a build up to understand how they got, like like, all right, I'm going to say the beginning of the movie. When, at the moment that Batman was in that prison or the hole, whatever you want to say, they built up to that moment where at the end they show you that it was Talia al Ghul actually who climbed out. So from that point forward, if you're not paying attention to that, if you're not understanding what's going on, if you're not like, first of all, she looked like a girl. Like I don't understand how I was so confused when I was younger.
Yeah, no.
Like when I was younger, I was like, oh wow, that's crazy. Bane really did that. And then I was like, oh my god, it's Talia al Ghul. Like now I'm like, and obviously I know, but I'm like, because I know who the actress is.
Yeah, Joey King.
Yeah, like I've seen her in a bunch. Like now that she's older, I've seen her in a bunch of stuff. I'm like, that was definitely a girl. Yeah, I should have known that the whole time. Like in my head, while I'm watching, I'm like, that's Talia. Like I don't even know why I thought that was anyone else.
And that's kind of what we were saying earlier, that Christopher Nolan puts everything under your nose.
Right under your nose.
And again, one of the things that makes Christopher Nolan not just good in the Batman trilogy, but in all of his movies, is he's low-key spoon-feeding you. I mean, it's all there for you. Yeah. It's just, you just realizing it. You really have to pay attention to everything, and that's why we're delving so deep into these movies. But that's a really good scene.
That's
realizing,
go.
Realizing what Bane is willing to do for Talia. Mm-hmm. That's, in a way, it's true love. It's not that romantic love, but it's that
I care about you.
It's a father-daughter thing. Yeah. Her father wasn't really there because he had his whole own thing that he wanted to do. So even though she's trying to play that out, he's that buffer to help her get there. And you get to see the emotion. He's not just this thing that we saw in Batman and Robin just earlier on, where it's just
senseless thing.
Yeah. He's this real character. He's this real human who actually has thoughts, who has intelligent thoughts, who he says he's the personification of evil, but there's good in his heart, and we get to see it through the scene.
Yeah, I mean, if Bane was just a huge guy without any character development, we wouldn't be as this movie wouldn't be as highly regarded in my eyes, because I'm a big villain guy. Like we talk about Thanos all the time. We talk about villains that have motives, and not necessarily that he had a motive per se. Well, obviously he did have a motive, but not necessarily that I agree with his motive, but I agree with what he was doing to protect Talia. I agree with what he was doing to put himself in that position. He was always a step ahead of Batman, if we're really looking at it. And that's not maybe Bane. That may be more League of Shadows, because they're very, very organized. But having a villain with a good character development makes your movie better, because people won't just root for the hero. Like there was times like, yeah, Bane, get him, bro. Like, like you was struggling, kill. Like, and then I realized it was Talia, and I'm like, oh, you ain't do shit. Like, fuck. But like, there's certain things you can do that makes your villain a lot more attractive. And Christopher Nolan has done that in all three movies. Number one, all three he's done it. Actually, almost all of his movies he's probably done. If we really went down the list, he really values the villain, and you can tell, which makes it like a grade A story, in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
What was your second scene?
My second scene was the burning bridge. They finally capture Commissioner Gordon. They go to exile him, and he's on the ice. Things are shaky. You don't think things are about to end well, and he finds the flare, and you hear Batman's voice again, and you're like, oh, thank God.
Thank God.
Like,
finally.
This is exactly what I wanted. This is how I want him to come back. No one thinks he's there to save them.
Yep.
And that's kind of in Batman fashion. He comes out of the shadows. He comes out of nowhere. He just got out of the tunnel. This is the whole leading up to this moment right here. He's back. This is his city. And you get the flare. He lights the gas, and you see it on the bridge. All the people look at it. It's that symbol that hope is back.
Yep.
And
I got chills just you saying that. It's like it's listen, man, it means a lot for those people.
Yeah, and it's beautifully shot. You have it across this bridge, and it makes the people of Gotham realize that there is an end to this, whether it's together as this Gotham family, or as we get to go on into the future and create our own Gotham all over again, because this is not the Gotham that they wanted. Bane really took over. Talia took over, and they were all counting their blessings. They're all ready to go. And this is really the scene that, again, there's hope.
There's hope. And that's the biggest thing of Batman is hope.
Yeah.
Like obviously that's Superman, that's Superman cool. But like he instills hope. Listen, Gotham believes in this man. Like if they're in trouble, their hope Batman comes. Doesn't matter if they're like if they're buying alcohol on the street, if they're like doing something illegal, if they're like they want Batman to be there. So like when they see that symbol, it immediately gives them kind of a jump, like a little like boost, which is good.
And I think a really big point I want to make off of that is these movies treat the citizens as real characters. They're not just this throwaway thing that you see in those Transformers movies, as you see in all these other superhero movies where the superhero is the lead and that's it. And then you get annoyed by these civilian characters. The civilian characters is what makes everything realistic, is what makes everything, gives actual stakes to what's happening within the city. And I think that's a really important point.
The characters mean stuff. Those throwaway characters, like the regular citizens, mean stuff to the main characters as well. I remember in the first movie, in Batman Begins, Bruce Wayne comes out of talking to, who's the mob boss in the first one that Rachel took him to see?
Carmine
Falcone. Yeah. As he's leaving, he could have just threw his suit and his wallet and stuff in a regular dumpster and but no, he went up to the homeless guy like, hey, listen, you can have this jacket, man. Like, I'll trade you for it. Like, knowing he doesn't need he doesn't need to trade it for you, but he cares about like, hey, listen, I'm throwing it away anyway. Stay warm. Like, I'll be out. He's like, well, why don't someone's going to be looking for you? Like, so it's like, but at least that guy, they're not looking for homeless. As soon as they find a homeless man, it's going to be good. But at least now that guy has a clean coat. He can stay warm and stuff. So all that stuff kind of ties into it very well.
Yeah. With Batman Begins, he gives the little, I guess, telescope thing to the kid. There's little things that build up that give not just the city of Gotham a character, but the citizens of Gotham a character and everything like that. We see that in The Dark Knight when they're on the ferry and things about to blow up. They're real people.
Yeah, they had to make a big decision. Like that was a big part of the movie, and like people kind of skip by that. But like if they made the wrong decision, like now their character development takes a hit. Now you got to like build up. But that shows the compassion of the members of Gotham City. They don't just want to kill random people. They want to do it the right way. Love it.
Yeah,
love it.
This movie. The more I talk about it, the more I'm starting to like it.
There's no flaws anymore. Tommy's locked in. Tommy loves it now.
It's fun. Next, we're going into our favorite character, and we'll start with you here. There's a lot of really good characters that we got out of this movie, a lot of new ones, a lot of old ones. Who did you like?
Bane. Broke Batman's back. Savage. Like, I don't like. Obviously, Selena Kyle was awesome. Obviously, Batman's always awesome. But if I have to pick someone else, and I think I picked Lucius the other time or Alfred or whatever. Like, Bane was a savage, bro. Like, he was ready for all type of sauce with Batman. He didn't run away. He said, "Yeah, come in, let's get it." And he was ready to go, like ready to throw punches. Broke my man's back, took him and left him somewhere. Like all that stuff he did. He's elite for me. I love Bane.
I don't want to kill you. I want to torture you.
Yeah, like it's cool.
He said that. Like,
yeah, you're not dying. You're good.
I'm gonna make you watch what I'm doing to your city. Like that's really coming in and saying like, I am the bigger man here. I'm gonna take what you love and destroy it.
Try to stop me.
He doesn't have that love interest anymore. So he loves the city of Gotham. He wants to protect it, and now he's destroying that love. And it's really. Bane doesn't just break him down as this superhero. He breaks him down as a man.
Yeah.
He breaks him down intellectually. He breaks him down physically. He reduces him to nothing, and that's really why Batman has to rise up. And that's why Bane's so good in this movie.
Oh, my God. Imagine if we had Bane and the Joker in the same movie. Oh, my God, how crazy. Because Batman would have been so screwed.
Yeah.
Like, just from Joker just making everyone insane and going to do crazy stuff, and then Bane actually beat. Like, think about that last scene when they're fighting to go up, into the building. Like, pretend that Joker was the one who caused that mess. Like, pretend like Joker, hey, here's your job. I'm gonna beat up Batman.
Yeah.
Just get everyone to go crazy. Imagine the chaos.
Yeah. It would have been amazing.
We'll talk about the future in a second. Oh my God, it'd been nuts.
And that kind of gives leeway to Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, and then we could have seen even more with this franchise, but.
That's neither here nor there.
Yeah, within this movie, I really love Selena Kyle. Actually, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, Officer Blake, was a pretty close second because, like I said earlier, he's selfless. He really cares about his city and everything like that.
And you know what he's going to be, too.
There's a lot for him to come. But Selena Kyle is everything that we've wanted in a Catwoman. I love Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. I thought she did a really good job in Batman Returns. But we see her as a thief. We see her as this conniving person. She's charming. She's everything. She could kill people when she wants. She doesn't mind using a gun, She's willing to do what it takes to save her name. her real goal within this is to clear her name of everything that happens, and she's kind of getting screwed along the way until Bruce is like, listen, I could actually do this for you. I could wipe your name away, and we could go and live the life that we actually want. And
easy too.
Yeah.
Easy.
And that's something where they really connect, even though they're kind of foils of each other. They're going against each other. They have different interests for the beginning of the movie. Towards the end of the movie, they're like, oh, if we're going to do this together, we have to work together. And then she comes back in that scene where Talia reveals herself and she kills Bane.
Yeah, she comes in like...
Her on the Bat-Pod, too. That Bat-Pod was one of the coolest vehicles in all of Batman history.
That's how I know that's his girl. As soon as I saw her pull up in that, I was like, yeah, they're dating. They're together. Like, it's over. Like,
and she knew how to use it. She was ready.
Listen, they've been staying up late. He's been giving her some lessons. We all know the vibes.
Oh, yeah. He went into her apartment. This is a nice place, actually.
Yeah. It's like I've been here before. It's like I've been here before. He knows.
But yeah, I think Selena Kyle, she was a strong villain for the little bit that she was a villain, stealing his fingerprints and everything of that nature. But when she was a hero as well, she really played her part. And I think Anne Hathaway did an amazing job playing her. She had that fake acting within the bar when the congressman is there and everything. That fake cry going into, I'm just plodding away, going to do what I got to do. She always has a plan. That's really one of the big reasons I like Batman so much. Always has a plan, always ready for what's coming their way.
Always has backups to his plan just in case.
And she's not going to take it from anybody. This is her life, and she's going to do it. She's going to do what she wants, and I think that's really awesome.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the ending before we go into our last point?
Yeah, just so I'll summarize the ending since we gave you guys all things. So, Batman and Bane are fighting. Batman uses famous line, "Where's the trigger?" And shout out Matt Bentley. And then Talia comes in and stabs him in the back and explains that she is Talia al Ghul. That it's not Bane who's the son of Ra's al Ghul. It's actually her, and it was the girl. And then we see the flashback to her climbing up, and we get the whole thing. Awesome. Batman ends up defeating them. Ends up flying the bomb out of the city. That's it. We don't technically know if... All right, I'm just going to keep going. Okay, flies it out of the city. It blows up. Obviously, the autopilot was messed up early in the movie. After the scene happens, we're getting a bunch of different montages, and Lucius Fox is talking to someone about the bat wing. I don't know what to call it. I don't know what to call it.
Right.
Was that right?
Yeah.
Holy crap! I really didn't know what to call it. I'm not even kidding. But it was talking about the autopilot. Like, someone fixed it a couple months ago, or a couple days ago, whatever it was. Who was it? Oh, Bruce Wayne. Now you're like, same thing with Inception. Now you're like, oh, well, did he get out of there? Did he? And that's what a lot of us always thought when see the movie. And then we see Alfred, see him at a French restaurant, wherever it was,
in
Italy, whatever it was, and sees him, and we see the back of Selena Kyle, so we know it's Selena Kyle, obviously, and we see them kind of exchange a little I'm good, man. You good? Yeah. Okay, cool. And
they're both free.
Alfred's so happy. I started tearing up because Alfred just looks so this is the life he wanted. Alfred's job was done.
Yeah.
Alfred completed his job from 40, 50 years ago with his parents, however long he was with them, to now he's that's a bit I've never experienced that, being with obviously doing a job for 40, 50 years, but I can only imagine the satisfaction, him getting close to them and him seeing, wow, cool.
That's like his son at that point,
legitimately, absolutely his son at that point.
And you get to see him, like you're saying, that sense of relief. And it, another point you were saying, is it's just like The Prestige. If you watch the beginning of The Prestige, he kind of gives you the beginning of Michael Caine saying what's about to happen. And it ends with Michael Caine getting his final wish, essentially.
Yep.
And not only is Alfred done, but Batman's done.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge weight off of both their shoulders.
Absolutely.
And it's almost like the perfect ending. But there's more to this ending.
Yes. So, and hold on, I just want to make one thing. I honestly, high-key, I'm not even going to say low-key, I high-key teared up when Alfred is at Batman's grave. And, I teared up.
I failed you.
Oh my, I was like, holy shit.
Because he means it.
This is a superhero movie. It's not a superhero movie, but it's a superhero movie. And I was like, oh my God, I'm tearing up. You don't really cry that much in superhero movies. Superhero movies don't give you that feel. It's more of an action-y, follow the plot, keep it going. But that scene, I was like, oh my God, like I can only imagine how that feels. And me and you know, the whole, we're very similar in our whole dad, how we feel about that whole situation. So it hit me more because I haven't had anyone talk about me. You know what I'm saying? Like from like a father figure, that means like, I feel like that means more to me than any other scene that I've seen in this movie. It's just because of the personal effect that it has.
For sure. And I think going into that next part, we get to see Officer Blake. He steps down from the force. He goes to Wayne Enterprises to kind of collect what Batman has for him, for what Bruce has for him.
Didn't even know he had anything. He was like, oh, Batman left something?
He hears that the orphanage is now Wayne Manor. Gives those kids a place to be.
The house, right?
He gives them Wayne Manor. It's dedicated to Thomas and Martha Wayne.
Awesome.
So he makes good on that promise that he has with Officer Blake. And then we go and find out that he gets this bag. It seems like there's some extracurricular activities that he could do with those. And also some coordinates to go somewhere.
Yes.
And we found out that his real name is Robin.
Right when he gets the bag, she says, oh, you should stick with your full name. You should stick with your real name. I like it better. Robin. And we're like,
so good.
Like, Robin.
And we're like, oh,
Robin.
I guess it's happening.
Let's go. At that point, you got to think, at that point, we don't know that there's not another movie coming out at that point. I think they talked about it later, like after the movie's released. So at that point, we're like, yo, we're getting a Robin. Yeah. Batman's done, but how is he going to train it? Like, there's a whole bunch of different questions we can ask. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
Thinking back on it.
And then we see him go into the Batcave. The bats go around him, but he's not scared. He actually embraces it. And then he walks onto a platform, and it starts to raise up. And you're like, is this the new Dark Knight?
Yeah.
This is the actual Dark Knight Rises. It kind of has that double entendre.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. I like that, Tommy. Look at Tommy on Saturday using his brain. I love it.
But another thing is, I think that you kind of get a glimpse of it. If you know Batman lore, Tim Drake is a character. And it rhymes. Maybe it's a little bit of a reach, but you could kind of tell the way he acts. He doesn't have parents. He was one of those orphans that
very similar
saw Bruce Wayne and got that sense of hope, and that's why everything kind of snowballs into what he's actually becoming. And I think it would be really cool to either have him as that Terry McGinnis, where Batman's not doing anything, but he's still that voice that he needs to become the new Batman. Or if you have it where Batman comes back, he hears something bad is happening in Gotham, and he hears
another Batman helping, and he knows who it is or whatever, and
and maybe he needs help, and he's like, I guess I got to come back. And even though he's torn and battered, and his knees don't work, and all this other stuff, like his body is falling apart, he might just go right back. And I kind of transitioned to something that we wanted to talk about is, where do we want the Batman IP to go into the future? We've seen things with the Batman coming out with Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson coming to be the new Batman. We have the Arkham games, which I think is amazing. Some of the best games, definitely superhero games, but some of the best combat games we've had in a very long time. And then I think a really cool thing that we could do is get a character study, kind of like we did with the Joker with Joaquin Phoenix, 100%. But put it into a series.
100%.
The issue with a movie is you only get, if you're really lucky, 3 hours. Yeah. If you're really lucky.
If you're really stretching it.
And you actually make it good, that's even tougher to do. But if you do this series like you have with The Mandalorian, like you have...
do like a Netflix series, and you don't have to dumb it down. You can make it like...
something like a Daredevil or Jessica Jones. Those are something... that's really good. It's street level, but we could get it with a Batman character if we have the right team around it.
Yeah, I like that. Like, so I have one other point. So you can either do a series, which I 100% agree with Netflix. You can do 10 episodes a series, 45 minutes, 50 minutes, whatever it is. Or you can do movies that are released quickly. Like shorter. Now they don't have to be 3 hours. Maybe they're 2:15, and we're focused. We're zeroing in the focus on those characters, and then maybe they're releasing one every year. Now that's different. Now it's like, okay, like they're not doing long movies, and we're getting one every year. So let's say Joker came out last year. Let's say this summer we're getting the Riddler movie. Yeah, I feel like you're not waiting as long because I love the Joker movie. It was really good. So like if you do that same type of thing, and obviously we can get, but time out. You can do those small movies, and then after a couple, you can have them in a Batman movie. like terrorizing Batman.
Yeah.
Like you could do a Joker one, like they already did. Obviously, I know it's not the same time period, whatever. Joker one, do a Riddler one, do a Penguin one. I'm just gonna name it, and then you can have all three of those people in the next Batman movie.
Yeah.
Causing them havoc. Like I think that would be really cool to think of. But to answer your question, I think the Batman IP should stay with Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, I think.
Mark it here for you. Heard it here first. I think this movie, I really like Robert Pattinson. We've talked about it a bunch of times. Yeah. We've seen a lot of his other movies, like not just Twilight. That's what a lot of you people out there just have seen Twilight, like, nah, he's trash. I don't want to see him. He's done a lot of really good stuff, like a lot of foreign films, a lot of like indie, like independent, like, and his acting chops are insane. So if you put him in a scene, in a scenario where he's Batman and he's playing a detective, which is what we've kind of like heard that was going to happen, but we get him a world's greatest detective Batman.
I'm so ready for it.
He's going to be better than Christian Bale.
Hey, that's a hot take.
It's arguable. I'm
ready for it.
It's arguable, but like I definitely think
until it comes out.
Yeah, I definitely think it's in the realm of possibility. Like to think that he could do a really, really good Batman. And Matt Reeves is savage, so. Yeah,
he's done the more recent Planet of the Apes movies, which again for me is
better than the other ones.
I think they're also in the air of best trilogy of all time.
Oh yeah. We should do that one.
I would love to.
We should talk about that.
Might be the next.
We might have to talk about that because that's a really good. Because there's so many like trilogies you guys don't even like think of that could be on this list for sure.
Of course. But Matt Reeves is someone that could be trusted. I heard the script. Everybody involved, of course, they have to give good PR to everything, but they're in it for the script. But going back to Robert Pattinson, you have things like The Lighthouse. You have things like Good Time. I highly recommend watching those movies.
Please.
If you haven't already. In The Lighthouse, it's a horror movie, but he's acting off of Willem Dafoe, who's one of the best actors of still living, honestly.
Spider-Man, you all know about him. You know about him. Aquaman, he's in a lot of superhero movies. He's elite.
But Robert Pattinson is right there with him the entire way because that's also a character study of two people going mad. You get to see the darkness he could play. And you also get to see the darkness he could play in a movie like Good Time. If you've seen Uncut Gems, which is now on Netflix, you know the Safdie brothers are here for – you're going to be uncomfortable. It's dark. Mm-hmm. There's no levity. And Robert Pattinson within that Good Time, he does an amazing job. You feel everything he's going through. And it's not just in the way he speaks. It's the way he looks. I think he could be a great Batman. And what we've seen with his costume, this looks like another year one Batman where he's trying to figure out what's the best thing to wear. It looks like some raggedy type stuff.
Yeah,
because it's that new thing that he's trying out. And this is really something where we could see a Batman grow.
I think if you're always casting a new Batman, I think or a new superhero, I think doing a year one version is always best. Now, you obviously don't have to go in depth with the parents' murder and all that stuff because I hope they don't, number one.
Because we've seen it.
We know what happens. Just mention it in the movie and we're good. Yeah. Like, we don't need – and maybe flashback in the second movie. You know, you can like do different flashbacks and stuff. But we don't need to see
like Into the Spider-Verse did perfectly.
We just talked about that. By the way, check the video out.
Yes.
Don't forget, it's on the page. Click down, go down, scroll down. Click it. There's just so many things you could do with the Batman like IP. Like, I think if he gets a trilogy, I think it's gonna be a really, really good trilogy. And I'm not gonna say it's arguably the best because there's so many good trilogy movies. But if they get a movie out of the 3 movies that he potentially could be in, if they get one movie that at least people talk about, like close to with the Dark Knight, trilogy is gonna be really, really good. Like, if they can get one close to Dark Knight, the other 2 are very, very easily to get to. You don't have to do much, but, like, you got to do a lot for the Dark Knight. And it could be one of the 3 movies. And, like, listen, if the first one isn't, like, amazing like the Dark Knight, like, don't, like, shut it out. Don't think that it's not going to be as good. Because you still, like, the Dark Knight was the second movie. So you still have a lot. You can even do it the third movie depending on the characters they bring in, depending on their plan. And we can't comment on that. So I am really excited for this Batman.
I think what they've been doing with the Batman IP is something that we have to talk about because, like you're saying, there needs to be a plan. And it seems like with this whole DCEU, there's not necessarily a plan. I think they were just trying to catch up with the MCU because they felt, all right, they have their 10 years of earned character development. And we all feel for those characters, which is why their later movies have such weight. They're trying to give us these stakes that aren't realistic to us.
Mhm.
It's that whole light beam thing. Like,
Yeah.
you can't just have a light beam in the middle of a city and be like, oh, great,
Batman's
let's
there.
go fix it. And Batman's there.
Yeah,
Why
Batman's
is
there.
He
Like,
doesn't
no, it's
have
a
any
beam.
powers. As much as Batman is my favorite character,
What's
honestly,
he gonna do? Yeah.
what's he gonna do in that situation?
Yeah. Aquaman,
And then you
Superman,
have
that's a wrap.
Superman, OP, Wonder Woman, OP, Aquaman, depending on what
If he's in the
version,
water, OP. If he has his armor on, OP. Like there's so like.
So it's tough to do these Justice League type things. Would you rather see these Joker one-offs, or would you rather see these bigger plans?
Well, Tommy, since you brought it up, I do like to see bigger plans. Only because I'm a big movie TV. Like I watch. Listen, if you've watched it on Netflix, I've probably watched it. If you watch it on Hulu, I've probably watched the same thing Disney Plus. So, but I like building worlds. Like I love building worlds. So TV show. Talk about the DC TV EU.
Yeah.
Really, like obviously there's inconsistency. Obviously, a lot of people don't like some of the episodes. Like, yeah, we get all that. But the way they're like, they do crossovers every year, and they fit in all these characters for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have an hour. They have 1 hour every week to try to get it right. It's not like they have a year, 2 years to plan out a movie, and they can do some trial and error. Like they kind of gotta go with whatever their plan is. They got to make it work.
On a smaller budget.
On a way smaller budget. So like when we see King Shark, that's the whole episode was King Shark. Like there was, there's no, when they have King Shark and Gorilla Rod, you notice there's not really any other special effects until Flash is going to fight them. Yeah. Like he walks around regular. Yeah. He doesn't like use his flash speed because it costs so much of the budget. Now if you put those type of TV shows on the big screen, now you can make massive
$250 million.
Easy. By the way, we'll talk about that because I got to bring it up because you reminded me about something. But it has to do with Christopher Nolan. But I like building worlds. So if we can get a scenario where we're building a world and like with Batman, with superheroes, I think it's great. I don't think that DC has to try to catch up to Marvel. Marvel's already over there. They're out of the house, bro. They're out of the room. They're gone. Yeah. You're not catching them right now because they just released Disney Plus. If this Corona didn't hit, Black Widow would have came out, did stupid numbers. So when it comes out, it's going to do even more. When Black Widow comes out, it's going to do a stupid amount of money.
Yeah.
Because now people have had to wait for it extra months. People are in quarantine. They're going to want to go out and immediately, I got to go to the movie. As soon as it's open, I'm going to the movies.
Yeah.
That day. Now, no ifs, ands, or buts about because I need to get out of the house. But if you do that and can allow, like, if you do with what Marvel's doing, you're never going to get there. You're never going to get there because they're set up 10 years. They've already done their big like conclusion. Now they're just, all right, hey, now let's do another 10 years of the same thing. We'll build it up a different way. We'll have different Avengers groups, but we're doing the same thing. People are going to watch because all their characters are still,
Yeah.
You can't do that with DC. Like I love Shazam. I loved Wonder Woman. I think that was a really, really, really good start. Don't try to do too much. Don't rush from here. You're good. Take your time. Tommy, I'm done with my rant. And then I'll talk about what the question you asked me in a second.
Yeah.
But I'm really frustrated.
I understand that.
DC.
Something that, as much as I like the Marvel movies, I only really love a couple of them because the Marvel movies are very formulaic. They're very cookie cutter. They know what they're doing. They know what works. And it obviously works. We've had 24, 25 movies at this point, and almost all of them are absolute bangers to a certain extent. I want to see DC take their time, do what they're doing with Joker, do what they're doing with the Batman, show why we love these characters. It's not just, we can't just, for me, I know you're on one side, I'm kind of on the other side of, we should take our time with these characters. We don't have to set up this massive thing. I think we should be really giving these characters the time that they deserve on screen. And then maybe that does build into something.
Yeah.
We've heard things with Joker, I should say. There might be a sequel. There might be a Batman in that sequel. As much as I think Joker should be standalone, I'm not opposed to it because I love these characters. Yeah. And that's why I'll watch something that you're talking about. Because as long as you make it good, you do it with care, I'm up. Yeah. I'm signed up for it.
I'll watch it, yeah.
And I'll give my money to them because I want to see those characters on screen. I want to see it in this big movie theater. I want to enjoy the stories they have to tell.
I agree. So I have started a little project a couple months ago. And so we're looking at the note right now on my computer. I haven't touched it since February 3rd, 2020. Okay, the reason was because I finished it all and the quarantine happened, so I wasn't really looking at it. But me and Tommy over the next couple weeks, we don't know how many episodes it's going to break down into, but we're not going to do it all in one time. It'll be like maybe we'll talk. So let me give you the deal. We are going, and I've kind of already started, but Tommy is going to help me. We're actually going to like really break it down, do casting. We're going to have we'll even maybe talk about directors too, because Tommy's really big on the director producer side. He'll be able to give me, I'm not as big with knowing every single one, so he'll be able to give me some insight on which, like, what we want our universe to be and how we want those producers and directors to be in relation to those. So we're going to debut a little DCEU, the one-stop movie shops DCEU. It's a combination of stuff that I've done. Stuff Tommy has helped me with this all along the way, so it's not like it's just my idea. And we're going to break down probably 3 to 4 movies a video, 2 to 3 movies, depending on how long they take, and all leading up to our big DCEU event. And we're just gonna have fun with it. So I'm gonna edit these videos because Tommy's editing a bunch of other videos, so we'll even it out. But I'm really big on this. Tommy loves superhero movies, so he's really. I'm
very excited about this.
So I cannot wait until we start. Some of the movies are going to stay the same, though. Like, I'm not going to change the Wonder Woman movie really a lot because I really like that movie. I'm not going to change the Aquaman movie a lot because I really like that movie. So a lot of the movies will be able to just slide into and we'll change some stuff based on how we want our universe set up. So obviously we're going to have some things different, but I'm really excited about it.
I think the fun part of this is fan fiction. I mean,
it's an exercise, yeah.
This is something a lot of people have been doing with Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, with all these characters that we've come to love. And this is kind of our version of that. And this is going to be coming on the channel. This is something we're really excited about. I hope you get to check it out. But I think that'll do it for this episode.
Yes, sir.
We're not necessarily sure what our next movie is going to be. So if you could put that in the comments down below of what you want to see next for us to talk about, for us to delve into, really dissect it from start to bottom, we'd really appreciate that. Drop a like, subscribe, X. This has been awesome.
It does not have to be a superhero movie, by the way. It can be any movie. We'll review any movie. Just so you guys know. I don't want you guys to be like, oh, superhero movies only. No. We don't. We
love all movies.
Oh, question while we're on here. Do you think Tenet is a sequel to Inception? I watched a video on it, and I'm really excited.
So from what I've heard, I don't know much about it because I just want to go in as blind as possible. Yeah. I've heard it's really melding Inception and Interstellar.
Okay.
Both themes and technology and ideology.
Okay.
And kind of making it into one big thing. So we'll see. I'm excited about it. I love Christopher
Nolan. Robert Pattinson. If you want to see Robert Pattinson, he's in a Christopher Nolan movie. Go watch Tenet. I don't care if you have to order it. I don't care if you have to stream it. I don't care if you have to buy it. Whatever you're going to do, watch it. I guarantee he goes in. Guarantee he goes in.
I love the passion.
I'm locked in, Tommy.
That'll do it for this episode. Thank you for watching and have a great day.
Peace.